Warm greetings from the high 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans on this early Tuesday morning, March 10th, 2020. I want to bring you an update pertaining to Brianna Williams, the mother who is been charged with neglecting her child, and the child later found in Alabama, deceased in a wooded area. The said information I'm bringing to you will be by First Coast News, and I will bring another news source if you need verification. Brianna Williams charged with willful torture, unlawful caging, tampering with evidence in case of Jacksonville 5-year-old found dead in Alabama. Previously, she was charged with 3 felonies, including 2 counts of child neglect and 1 count of lying to law enforcement officers. Brianna Williams, the mother of late 5-year-old Taylor Williams, is facing new charges in relation to her daughter's case. Previously, she was charged with 3 felonies, including 2 counts of child neglect and 1 count of lying to law enforcement officers. Now she'll face charges of tampering with evidence and aggravated child abuse, which focuses on the statutory element of willfully tortures, maliciously punishes, or willfully and unlawfully cages a child. Brianna Williams reported her daughter missing on November 6th, and according to recently obtained evidence, when authorities searched Williams' apartment on Palm Breeze Road, they noted that the smell of decomposition. Detectives also found what they believe was soiled children's underwear, soiled carpeting, and cans of soup that appeared to have a small opening to drink from. Listed below are the counts and what they stipulate in those said counts. Authorities later discovered Taylor Williams' remains in a wooded area near Linden and Demopolis, Alabama. An arrest warrant revealed that Brianna Williams, 27, gave numerous false statements to the police about her daughter's whereabouts that were later proven to be false. Brianna Williams' bond is set at $1 million. Last month, Brianna's defense team also asked the judge for more time to review the potential evidence in the case, which now includes thousands of photos and surveillance video from more than 24 locations. And that is the said information brought to you by First Coast News. I also want to bring you information from CBS 47 and Fox 30. Also mentioned as evidence, there was odor of cleaner emanating from the trunk. A cadaver dog conducted a sniff of the vehicle and gave a positive ID on the trunk as well as the interior compartments of the vehicle. As for News 4 Jax, they stated that there were possible blood stains in 6 locations in the apartment, soiled children's clothes, fecal matter, cans of soup with small openings, and scent of decay. Records show soiled clothes, assorted sex toys were also found in the car. 3 trips made to Alabama, October 31st, November 1st, November 2nd. Let's see. And she made it back to Jacksonville at 5:28 on November 3rd. 6 hours later, she posted to Craigslist for someone to help her to move. The couple were in the apartment that came to help her move, were in the apartment for an hour. And Brianna told the couple that her child was in the bathroom taking a bath. 3 days after her move from that said apartment, she calls the police to file a report that her child was missing. In the woods where the child was disposed of, there were plastic pieces found, fabric, 3 kinds of rope, blue gloves, knife, cardboard, wire, papers, punch drink can, also listed, Alabama listed with their forensic office listed, a shower curtain and a black plastic bag and a shirt. Okay, that's the said information. So, that's what we have here is a ridiculous, outrageous situation pertaining to this child and this stupid-ass mother. Yes, I'm saying it. So, one's going to ask, how long was Taylor in the woods? Well, now that we have a time frame of the mother making 3 trips to Alabama, and then 3 hours later on the 3rd, 6 hours later on November 3rd, she puts a list ad on Craigslist to get some people to move her. One could say the child wasn't out there very long, because the last time she went there was on the 2nd, and then in the wee hours going into the 3rd, that morning, 5:28, she makes it back to Jacksonville through GPS records that officials have tracked her, and then she puts the ad onto Craigslist to get help. Why did she even report the child missing? I found that interesting. I'm curious to why she even reported the child missing. Okay, how long has she been starving and hiding her child in the closet and left in the house? Because remember, the neighbor at the last apartment stated that he saw the child wandering around last spring, around Mother's Day or whatever. That's how he remembered, because he was talking to his mother, if I'm not mistaken. So how long has this been going on? The abuse, the neglect. How long has she been leaving the child unattended? Why did the couple not smell a stench in that apartment? When the officials went in, they said they smelled a stench coming out of the bedroom, of fecal matter, decomposition, whatever. So how's it if you was in there for an hour and you did not notice the same stench that they smelled in that apartment? Didn't you find it odd a child was left in their bathroom taking a bath while you were moving her out of apartment A and into house B? And you said, we didn't see a child in the apartment, nor did we see a child at the house where we moved her to. And you didn't think that was odd? And you don't know the smell of death? You haven't even heard about the smell of death? I find that odd. Where was all the stuff that she had them move out the apartment? In the living room? Because naturally, I couldn't see her wanting them to go through the house, room to room, moving stuff out. Because my understanding, the house was trash, had lots of boxes and trash bags. So did she pile everything up at the door for them to pick up so they wouldn't wander through the house? This is just crazy to me. And why didn't these people call the police to say, hey, there's something weird about this girl we just moved. We smelled the odd smell. I think it could be a body, something foul and rank has happened in this apartment. Why didn't you say no? I mean, we all have done dirty jobs for people. Some of us, anyway, depending on our field of work. Why didn't you go call somebody just to say, hey, I helped this chick move to a house. She said her child was in the bathroom, but I never saw a child. And I'm going to tell you something. Somebody who would be concerned about children would have asked the lady, ma'am, where's your baby? Because you're telling us that your child's in this restroom, but we're going to move you out of here to this said location. And common sense would tell a person that Brianna would follow them to that location so they wouldn't rip her off of her belongings. You see where I'm going with this? You don't think to say, hey, where's your baby? Where's your child? I know we're not going to leave a kid in here to take a bath while we're moving your things across town, and you're following us or leading us to the said location, house B. Do you all see where I'm going with this? These people giving testimony after the fact when they stood right in the midst of a body that had decomposed in a bedroom closet, smell of urine, fecal matter, and a dead body for God knows how long was in that apartment before Brianna took the body and dumped the child's body off in Alabama, came back, put an ad on Craigslist, and voila, here are the movers who don't question a damn thing. So I'd like to know, did you tell the authorities after you moved her out that you smelled something rank in that apartment and you don't think it's just somebody had a dog and didn't clean up after their dog or cats? Because this story makes no sense to me. Ellie has made it clear that the child was dropped off in the woods before the move. So before Brianna moved into this second place, the body was disposed of, as I just relayed to you. She dumped the body, then came back, and put the ad up on Craigslist. So if that gives you a time frame, it was short. It was not long. The fact that they tracked her to GPS through her car, which shows that she's a fool and is not very smart. She's in the Navy, but she's not very bright. But they always say that about smart people. They don't have common sense. You're going to sit up here and starve your child for God knows how long. Leave him in the house. Leave him in the closet for how long. And then, voila. Go dump him in the woods. And then go put up an ad as if when You know what jumps off? You didn't think they were going to track your phone records? They weren't going to track the GPS in your car? Just a damn idiot. Brianna reported her child missing, and the child was found 6 days later near Linden and Demopolis. And all that funky evidence in the car, all that craziness, nonsense. Sex toys, more debris, clothes. Why? Were you just a filthy person? Possibly she was, because they said the apartment was trash. So obviously she was not a good mother mentally, physically, nor did she keep a clean home. So there's no telling what the child had while she was living with this filthy beast. Okay. The fact that she didn't have any friends. No friends ever visited her apartment, came to see her. No boyfriend, no lover. Nobody ever came over. What about the neighbors that lived in this apartment complex that she moved out of? You didn't smell anything reeking from that apartment? I find that unusual. They don't know what a dead body smells like. I hear it's a very horrible smell. The fact that they said there were maggots inside of the car. So that means there would have been maggots inside of the apartment. Yet 2 people moved her out of there, and they ain't noticed nothing or said anything to the police, which that hasn't been verified to the public if they did. But I think by now, since they were talking, they would have told, oh yeah, by the way, we called the police because we thought something was fishy going on with this lady who we moved out of this said apartment. Now, the fact that she left this apartment with all this trash and decomposition in the said apartment, knowing somebody could call the police with the stuff being left in the apartment. But then I realized she kept that apartment for a while. She didn't turn in the keys. Remember, she had 2 places. So maybe that is the reason why nothing came of it. But what makes no sense is, why leave the apartment in the condition that she left it in? Why didn't you not, when you realized you were going to move out, why didn't you clean that apartment up first? When you dumped the body, stupidness, Brianna, why didn't you go back to your said apartment, clean everything out, throw everything in the trash, call a cleaning company or carpet cleaning company to come clean your nasty, filthy carpet from where you've let your child die inside of this said apartment? I find that interesting that she let the apartment sit there. I guess she hadn't turned the keys in because they stated after the fact when she was arrested that she hadn't turned the keys in, and that's what led to them suing her for the said apartment. Because she owed rent because she never turned in keys or a 30-day notice. Did the people call her once she was, arrested and everything? Did the people who owned the apartment call her to say that something was wrong with the apartment? Or did people start smelling things about the apartment and call in? As I state, she didn't turn in any keys. Did she intend to ever go back to clean up the place? Because naturally, someone notified her on the base that the police was coming. And that's when I guess we see her in the car foaming at the mouth and having a seizure and all that. But I don't understand. You know what you've done is wrong and foul and rank and inhumane. You knew at some point you didn't want your kid. Why didn't you clean up the apartment after the fact, moved everything out, cleaned it up, and then moved on to the said place? Or moved on to the said place and then go back to clean up the apartment. You leave an apartment filled with evidence and then move into a house where you've had 2 witnesses to see or smell what was in that said apartment, and then file a missing persons report days later or so in the new location, which makes no damn sense to me. The fact of her leaving the apartment in the state that it was in, I'm just wondering, had she never called the police about a missing child, they would have seen the apartment and smelled the death in there. You understand what I'm saying? Whether she left the air conditioning on or whatever. They would have smelt it and realized something's not right. And would they have called her and said, hey, ma'am, are you going to turn in the keys? You left this apartment in disarray. Woo, woo, woo. It smells like death in here. Would they then have called the police? Had she never reported the child missing? Would that have led to her being arrested, investigated? Do you understand what I'm saying? Had she not reported the child missing, and the people went into the apartments once she didn't turn her keys in, and then they would have discovered the stench inside the apartment. And I still just don't understand the fact of how she's done her child and let her child lay in there dead, which I'm wondering how long the child was actually dead in the apartment. Why didn't you, after dumping your own child in the woods in Alabama, why didn't you clean that apartment up? That's what I don't understand. Why didn't you clean the apartment up? Why did you report the child missing? Because this is what led to you being caught in the first place. Had you just left that place, moved out, moved to the next place, went back and cleaned the old place up, hired a cleaner, went on about your business, nobody would have known anything about your baby missing unless somebody had been inquiring about your child. And that's why you moved out the apartment in the first place. Because I'm wanting to know, why did she move out of the apartment into the house? Why do you need a house when you don't have a kid? You've already murdered your baby, neglected your child, which is murder. It's all the same thing. Why would you go move in a house? The fact she had all this ammunition and guns and all that, shotguns, for what? The crime that bad in Jacksonville? You need all this ammunition? Wow, interesting. Okay. The fact that, as I state, the apartment complex could have gone back in that apartment with the time elapsed, her not cleaning the place. But as I stated, obviously she was paying the rent, so it would have been a while before they checked the apartment. They still would have known because they would have seen her face attached to the missing child. So one way or the other, if she hadn't went back to that apartment and cleaned up, and let's say still didn't report her child missing, the apartment complex could have notified authorities once they saw the state of the apartment. But as I state, they probably would have never had to do that if this crazy girl hadn't filed a report. But the fact that she filed a report, let's just say you kept on with the apartment the way it was, they would have probably went to the authorities anyway and said, hey, we have information. She lived here. This is the condition she left the apartment, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm saying is, if she never filed the report about the child, she may have gotten away with this crime. Something to think about. But something made her call, and that's what I'm questioning. What made her file the report? Was somebody watching her? Had somebody been discussing her? Had the neighbors been discussing her? Had the apartment complex managers said something to her out of the way about her behavior, leaving her child alone? Were neighbors whispering about her leaving her child alone? And I also would like to say this. The fact that she pled not guilty, bold and brazen, tells me that this chick is a monster. And if she killed her child months ago, did she kill her child months ago? When did she realize she didn't want to be a mother? The fact that she never asked her family for help. The fact that she never had any contact with them. Pictures, phone calls. Lets me know that she was off her rocker. Especially if she sat up in that apartment with her child for months and the baby was dead. What made her move? What made her move from that apartment? Had people been talking about her personal business in that apartment and the child being left alone? When did she realize she didn't want to be a mother? Was it back in the spring when she's leaving the child alone, or was it before then? And why didn't she just kill the baby when she realized she didn't want to be a parent and disposed of her in the woods, moved out the apartment, cleaned the apartment, and moved on with her life. But that's the whole point of the story. Was somebody talking, which led to her to say, I better file a missing report on my child. Because I don't think she thought this out well with GPS tracking, phone records, all of that. The fact that she disposed of regular other evidence alongside with the child, all the stuff about cardboard and trash and knives and rope. It was almost as if she was a serial killer, to tell you the truth. I didn't get none of that. I didn't understand the point of all of that. This girl is diabolical. She's a monster. She starved her child to death, left her in the closet to soil herself, used the restroom on herself, and the sick part of her never cleaning that stuff up when the child was peeing on herself and boo-booing on herself, and you kept staying in that apartment with the child, in the bedroom, all of that, living in that apartment, going to work, eating, slumbering, starving your kid, and going about your day the next day to work as if you are a good person, veteran, you know what I'm saying, a good person in the military, all that, living a lie, a facade. And I'm wondering, hell, did maybe somebody in the military start asking questions about her kid, this, that, and the other? Who knows? But that's what I'm waiting on, is to hear if someone dropped a dime on her about that baby and not seeing her with that kid. And the fact that you hear nothing about the father and the family's explanation for why she didn't want to stay in contact with them. Don't you find that odd? Nobody saying anything about that? Well, I think this is the reason why she didn't want to call us and talk to us. Somebody knows something. I don't know if something happened to her as a child growing up with these people, uncle, aunts who took care of her, but I think something happened with her. And I think this girl has been gone off her rocker for some time. Because you just don't wake up one day starving babies and leaving them in the house dead and sleeping in the same home with them in the bedroom where the body has decomposed. And that's the witching part of this story, is how long was that baby dead in that apartment? And this mother laid and lied and slept and ate, watched TV, all that, in the same apartment. And let me tell you about filth, if you don't know. When you are in a place ridden with fecal matter, decomposition, soiled items, you carry that smell with you. So all these people walking by her at work, you're going to sit here and tell me you didn't smell decomposition, fecal matter, urine on her clothing, and you work alongside her? Come on with all this. The apartment complex dropped the ball. The last neighbor who saw the baby wandering around dropped the ball. The two people who moved her out, you're crazy as hell because you should have went to the authorities and said something about that apartment. This is BS. Pure BS. I know she's in a better place. She's resting easy. God got her, and that's all that matters. But what I want is justice for Taylor Rose. And Brianna needs to tell the truth. Stop wasting people's time, taxpayers' money, and go on and confess. Because you're just drawing out something that you already know is going to happen. They're going to give it to you and give it to you good. And I'm praying this will not be another Casey Anthony ending. Because if 12 people find her not guilty of murder, there is no hope for this world. And that's just how I feel. Because there's no way that heifer should be walking free. This is my sad commentary on this subject matter. A very baffling story out of Jacksonville, Florida. And we want justice for this baby. Those of us who actually care for children and life in general. People have to stay woke. You have to stay vigilant. Not be nosy or meddlesome, but know when to say something ain't right. I'm going to say something. Even if it's anonymous, do something. Because as you see, too many babies, children, are leaving here because nobody wanted to get involved. Nobody wanted to be meddlesome, nosy Parker. But how can you say something after the fact when you had this chance to say something in the beginning? Like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below. Thanks for joining me on this early Tuesday morning. And you all have a blessed day. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.